Hey, good morning, folks. Just thought I'd make a video. It's pretty late. It's probably April 20th by now. It's about 1:40, and I was kind of playing around on the computer and decided to make a video and kind of just share the last couple of weeks and really, more importantly, I guess the last 5 days because there's some new news for me, and I guess felt like talking about it, but we'll just kind of start off with let's see what's going on. Well, first off, my immediate family all seem to be doing well, and that's good. I've kind of talked to everybody, and I might be having dinner with my youngest daughter, which has been a long time. So she's supposed to call me hopefully this Saturday. Maybe we can grab something to eat at some point. But as far as health-wise goes, everyone seems to be doing okay, including my brother. He's back home, still fighting infection, but after 2.5 months in the hospital, he's doing the best he can do. So, with that said, um, getting a little time on the bike, helping friends out with different things, taking care of my landlord who has been kind of struggling the last 5 days, and I'll go ahead and kind of share this first. But he's 94 years old, and one day, I guess it was last Friday or Thursday, I can't remember which day it is now, but he decided that because he can't drive his vehicle anymore, that he was going to go in the garage and grab his bicycle and take a ride over to his friend's house, which is probably a mile away. Well, he never made it out of the driveway, and he fell off the bike and was laying on the ground. And it was just sheer luck that I was home, because I was actually going out to ride my mountain bike and get some miles in, and I actually ended up getting what's the word I'm looking for? Distracted from what I was doing, and I don't know if I was talking on the phone or whatever, but I got a late start, and I grabbed my bike and went outside, started riding around the back of the house, and I find my World War II vet laying on the ground. He can't get up, and he's injured. So what happened was we basically cleaned him up, and he promised he wouldn't take the bicycle out anymore. And he, you know, basically was complaining about his neck. And anyways, we were hoping he was getting better. We thought he was getting better, but this morning he was in pretty bad condition. He was complaining about his neck, and he just not in a good place. So I ended up taking him to a walking clinic, and it was a bitch getting him in my car because he was really hurting. So it turned out he has a lot of arthritis in his neck, but he also has a sprain, and he's in a collar now. So um, we had a long conversation with his son, and it might be time that you know for him to probably move in with the son, which is in some ways sad for me because I've grown accustomed to him being here so I could look out after him. But in all honesty, I can't take care of him 24/7. So I know that what is going to happen is going to be the best thing for him, because he needs constant care, and I just can't do that. I mean, I'm not even qualified, at some level. I've done what I can over the last couple of years, but I know his son is doing the right thing, and it's going to be hard for him too, because he's got his hands full with his own life, and I have to give him a lot of credit for what he's going to attempt to do. And I have basically two options. I can stay here alone and see Romeo when he comes back on the weekends, because that's what his son's intention is. He's going to bring him back down here on the weekends. Or I can think about moving and seeing where I want to live and what I want to do. But it's kind of strange. I just can't seem to make a decision about my ultimate destination or whatever. And, I guess the only choice I really have right now is to sit tight and try to spend as much time as I can, with family and friends. And hopefully in time, I'll figure out what's my next step. So today was kind of one of those days where I just kind of focused on Romeo pretty much all day until I put him to bed. He in his condition right now, he can't really get up by himself. He's not really mobile in a way that I trust him moving around too much. He's getting pretty tired pretty quick. His body's strained. So it was nice to get him home from the hospital today. And if you guys watched the video, my last video, it's basically just a video of Matt and Romeo kind of playing around with each other and having some fun with each other. It's kind of fun to listen to him. So we got him back home, and Matt was nice enough to stay here all day with him until about 5, and I know they had some good conversations. But anyways, I got Romeo in bed, and as I tucked him in and that kind of thing, and he looked up at me, and there was part of me that was really happy, and it was nice knowing that, okay, well, he's not alone and that kind of thing. But there was some sadness too, because this is what they call the circle of life, and unless you live with someone who is actually at this part of their life, I mean, if you're a CNA, you see it all the time. You probably get callous to it, and it's a job. I don't count what I do for Romeo as a job at all. I mean, some people might, but I don't. It's just one human being caring after another. I have the good fortune to be able to do it. So it makes it different than some person who's struggling to put food on the table, who has to go to work and do it for a complete stranger, even though over time I'm sure they bond at some level with their their patients or their seniors or whatever. But I've kind of watched Romeo deteriorate in the last 2 years. Some of it because he's been lazy, not drinking enough, not wanting to get outside and walk. But on the other side of it, this is a man who's paid his dues, who's worked hard. And it's not really just because he's lazy now. It's just because the light is going out, and it's been a really unique experience for me to be a part of his life at this junction. I probably wouldn't have got along with Romeo when he was younger. I don't know. It's hard to say, but maybe if we were both the same age and in our 20s, we would have. But Romeo's a very unique individual, and he still is, But unfortunately, he's at that point where he can really no longer take care of himself, and I have to be honest with myself that I can't provide him with the security that he needs. I was kind of devastated that he fell off the bike and I didn't catch him getting on the fucking bike, but that's just how it is. So with that said, we'll see how this all pans out and how he handles things. So outside of that, it's been a strange 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks now, because I have been going through a lot of stuff in my head. And I guess a big part of that is my ideas about repairing relationships with people, or making my relationships with my friends as they are now even better. And I think something I've learned from my counselor was the fact that, sometimes we expect too much from everyone. And one of the things that my counselor says to me all the time is, give more, expect less, without being used or abused. But I guess I'm getting older, I'm paying more attention, but it seems that some of the issues I've had with people in the past, I can kind of look back at and understand that, I might have handled that situation better or whatever. So I think I'm actually still learning, not just about people or things, but about myself and my interaction with the world as I see it. Uh, Maybe I guess that's what you call some wisdom or whatever. But anyways, it's been a little better. My conversations with both my kids. Um, there was a lot of room for improvement, and I think in some ways, especially with my oldest daughter, that is what's going on here. So I'm kind of proud of that. Um, as far as my youngest daughter goes, there's been a lot of issues, um, that have kind of dulled our relationship and caused us both to pull away from each other. But it was kind of strange. I did talk to her tonight, and she told me uh, that she would like to have dinner with me on Saturday, which is great, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. And she told me she loved me, and it's nice to hear because she's not one that just throws that out. I'm kind of the opposite. I tend to tell people, "Hey, I love you if you're my friend," and that's really how I feel. But we're all different. So, what else besides that? Well, the motorcycle shop that I hang out at, they're getting into the full swing of you know people bringing their bikes in. There's a lot of work going on, and I know that my friend Bry is doing the best he can to make these subtle changes that don't affect people in a negative way or you know um, cause disharmony amongst the ranks. Yeah. So he's doing the best he can. I think sometimes people get so used so what's the word I'm talking about? I don't want to say lackadaisical, but we get very complacent and sometimes we fail to notice that there are things going on around us that really need not just our input but also our physical help. And hopefully some of the key people that are there are going to pick up on that and assist Brian into making the shop more successful. And that's really the ultimate goal, is to make the place function in a way where it's efficient, the customers are happy, you know, the employees are working good together, and people are on the same sheet of music. And it's very hard to do when it's been run a certain kind of way. And and that way worked, I'm sure, for many years before I was ever there, but it's no longer effective now. And it's really up to the key people to open their ears and eyes and say, okay, I'm ready to really listen and make the commitment or the sacrifice. And if you're not ready to make a commitment or a sacrifice to the business, then you need to step aside and let somebody else take charge. So uh, my hat's off to all the key people for stepping up, the ones that are, and for the ones that haven't yet. Hopefully, awareness is the first part of it, and they'll either step up or step to the side. So outside of that, there's a track day coming up on April 23rd. I'm probably going to go up. I won't be riding. I think I could ride though, because the last few times I've been on the bike, I feel pretty good, except when I hit a fucking bump, and our roads up here need a lot of work. So that's the only time I have an issue, is when I end up hitting some type of weird bump and I'm not ready for it. But on the track, that's not a big issue. My biggest issue is, crashing, or, having someone crash into me, or I crash into them, or I crash on the bike just because I make a mistake. And I only have two tendons holding my arm together now, so I don't really want to make it, worse. I don't want to hurt myself or damage myself worse than what it is, because it's not a severe injury, but I have a torn labrum and two tendons torn, so it's something I got to be aware of, because it's not going to heal, and I'm not really going to be able to have it fixed the way I want. So I got to be cool. I'm not young and stupid. When I was young and stupid, I didn't give a shit about anything. So it's not like that now. It's not something I want to have to deal with. So, but I will be at the track, and I'm going to start making a few changes from a financial point of view that should help me. And with that said, pay off some bills, have a little more income come in, deal with some situations I need to deal with, and actually take some some a little bit of stress off myself, by doing some of these things. I just want to eliminate some of the overhead I have, and that'll be a little bit more money I'll have in my pocket and in the bank. And I think that's important. And you don't always get an opportunity to do that. So when the opportunity arises, you got to make it happen. You got to make smart moves. Um, let's see what else. Well, nothing, not much else. Courtney. I've been talking to her every day, and she seems like she's in a better place. She seems happy. I know she's working hard because that's just who she is. Um, and Yeah, she sounds the best I've seen her sound in a long time. So I do miss her, and sometimes I wish I could just go down there and see her whenever I want to, but that's not really a realistic option. So it's not going to happen. Um, my ex has been nicer to me, helping me as far as, calling me to make sure I got food and I'm eating right and I'm doing this and doing that. I made a huge mistake a couple of weeks ago. I noticed she gained weight and I was just, being Keith, no filter. And I just happened to say, hey, you're getting fat and, you're starting to look like Humpty Dumpty. And I wasn't really trying to be mean. And I just, in all honesty, it was one of those things. This is a person I married and had children with, and she's watching my grandchildren, and she's a big part of my children's lives. And I just felt like, hey, don't let yourself go so bad that you have a heart attack or a stroke or you die, because it's going to devastate. I mean, not just me, because I still care about you, but it's going to devastate our children and our grandchildren. And please do whatever you can to try to make yourself healthier. So she said she was going to try. Um, Other than that, that's been about it. I haven't been doing much gaming, and I haven't flown much in my simulation. I'm trying to lose weight. I've been biking, but since Romeo got hurt, I haven't been riding my bicycle, and I probably won't ride much tomorrow because I don't want to leave him alone. But we'll see how he feels, and hopefully within the next few days he'll feel some relief on his neck, because as of right now he can't even really tie his shoes. So, um, and if he does, it's all a strain. Uh, Outside of that, weather's been pretty decent. Um, it's been cold the last 12 hours or so. It's kind of weird. We had some really nice temperatures, the past week or so, but it's cold as shit now and not very good. Hopefully the weather will improve here over the next week. Um, I might be going to Seattle, Washington for a wedding. But unfortunately, if I go, I have to fly. And it's something I have to think about because it's for my very good friends. They're family to me. Uh, One of my buddies' daughters get married, and it's just something I just can't say no to right now. So we're gonna see what happens. But of course, I hate flying, but it's something I got to think about. Um, Outside of that, I don't really have any trips planned besides maybe doing some track days with my riding buddies and enjoying that with them. Um, One of the things I started thinking about um, when when I found out my brother was hurt and some other friends of mine had died. I guess I guess 4 or 5 people have died that I know pretty well over the last since November. And about a week and a half ago, maybe a couple weeks ago now, I decided to go see some old relatives where I grew up, and these were people that I knew when I was 5, 6 years old. Uh, my aunt Pat and my uncle Cuggy, and they've been married forever. But my uncle Cuggy's almost, I guess he's in his mid 80s now, maybe a little bit older, but he fought in Korea. He was in the Marine Corps, um, and he was a tough bastard. And I just happened to be in the area, and I decided to visit them. And I knocked on the door, went in the house, and my aunt Pat told me that my uncle Cuggy has dementia. and I guess it's in the early stages of it, but he has his moments. And he was in the living room sleeping on the couch, and I went in, and it was in the afternoon, but he was up, and I sat with him, and I came back, and I realized that I've been kind of shortchanging myself, and I haven't been living life to the fullest. I haven't taken full advantage of the opportunities that I have. And I'm not saying I'm going to jump on this tomorrow, but it made me realize that I better start living a little bit more because our time could be running out. And I say that because, um, when death hits close to home, and it has because my cousin was killed in a construction accident. My ex-girlfriend died. A number of people have died that I was close with. And now, with the situation with Romeo falling down the other day, and I went to bed. I was pretty upset about it, even though I know it's not my fault, but it was the idea that, life doesn't wait for any of us, none of us, and some people know how to live life. They really do. I used to, but after my divorce and a number of other things I carried a lot of guilt. I felt that I failed, my marriage, my children, and all that shit. And it's just one of those things that I have to live with, but I also have to accept that I can't really change the past, and I need to go ahead and start doing what the fuck I need to do. And one of those things is living life and having fun. And I have done a little bit of it, but I haven't done as much. So I'm not sure why I just, sometimes hunker down the way I do. I wasn't like that. But it seems since I've gotten out of the service, um, I carry some kind of unseen grief or whatever, about a lot of things. And, I think the only time I ever got it back was when I was with Courtney. And Courtney and I ended up living together. And I felt like I had this long lost soulmate that brought out that part of me that wanted to live life. Like my ex-wife said, Courtney lit a fire in you, Keith, that I haven't seen since I met you in the service. And since she's left, I guess that fire kind of went down, and I felt, sadness and a sense of loss that, this person is gone. And sometimes, we're all motivated by something, whether or not it's another human being or a hobby or sports or buying shit. I don't know, whatever you're into. But my big thing throughout my life, since I was a kid, and even more when I went in the service, was this idea of being around good people and sharing experiences with people and taking care of each other. This cooperation, this love, this intimacy, and it's not sexual. It's a lot deeper than sex. Sex is just like tits and a hog. It's just there. This was core shit. And I've laid in bed for the last few weeks now and waking up and just thinking, it's a big world. You need to enjoy what you can as much as you can with the people you love. And I guess I gotta take some steps. So maybe with this whole situation with Romeo going up to his son's place and me being alone, and maybe I can just fade out more and do more, not have to worry about coming back here at supper or whatever, or being responsible for him. I might be able to do a little more. We'll see. I'm not complaining about doing those things for Romeo because I was very lucky to meet this man, and in some ways he's made a huge impact on my life, and his son has too. You meet someone, you don't always agree with what they say or how they look at the world or whatever, but it's still a good person is a good person, and that's something else that I've learned over the last few years, is that sometimes you may not like what someone says or or how they they feel about certain topics, but that doesn't automatically mean that they're a fucked up bad person. It just means that their views are different based on their own experiences. And with Romeo's son and I, initially, that was one of the issues. I wasn't sure if I was going to like him. I didn't know if he was some kind of, snobbish, I'm a chef and I like to drink fancy fucking wines and fuck everybody. But in all honesty, that's not who this person is. He's one of the finest people I've ever met. So I'm wishing him nothing but the best when he attempts to bring Romeo up with him, because it will be some work. So, with that said, it's like 2:05, and it's been, I've been doing a lot of computer stuff and computer work, and relationships have been weird. There's something else that I didn't mention, but I'm not going to mention any names, but there's someone that I'm glad is still with us, and I'm glad that sometimes when you say something, even though it might be wrong, it makes something really good happen. So I was kind of touched by this person and his honesty and everything, and I'm just telling you, if you ever watch this, you know what I'm talking about. If you pick up on it, you can always count on me, being there for you, bro. So hang in there and keep the good fight going, baby. So anyways, I guess the last thing is I'm reading a book called Above and Beyond, and it's basically the air war in the Pacific, and it's a very interesting book as far as how luck plays a part of our daily existence. And sometimes you forget that, but you read a book like this, you're like, oh my god, you can't make this shit up. But I can't think of the author, but it's basically it's a book on the air war in the Pacific with the Navy and other things, but against the Japanese. Fantastic book. So I think I'm going to end this and upload it and go to bed and read for an hour or so. I'm going to have to get Romeo up, or not get him up, but get up there when he gets up and put that collar back on his neck and help him get dressed, and we'll see how the day goes. So that's it. Thanks for listening. I hope everyone that watched this video is happy, or as happy as they can be, taking care of themselves, your loved ones are okay, and you're kicking ass in what you're doing, and having a good life. It's not so easy to have a good life anymore, so take care of yourself. Yeah, that's a perfect goddamn image for that. But anyways, take care, and we'll see you soon. Good night.